The FDA has given full approval to the first ever drug to treat Alzheimer's disease. Leqembi isn't a cure, but it does slow the progress of the disease. So we wanted Nine Health expert Dr. Pyle Coley to come in because this has gotten a lot of buzz this week.
Sure.
We always know there's a lot more to learn. We're going to ask about the pros and cons, but how does it work?
So Alzheimer's, as you know, is a disease where you get deposition of these proteins in the brain. They're called amyloid proteins, and they assemble into these structures called plaques. So this is a drug, it's an antibody that's given IV that goes and sops up these proteins and eliminates them from the brain. So it actually eliminates these plaques, and that translates into a slower cognitive decline and less loss of memory.
Okay, I have some dumb questions, but I think I have one good one because I've always heard about these toxic proteins also referencing things like ALS and CTE.
Yes.
Is this possibly connected to progress in that area, those areas as well?
Absolutely, and that's what we're learning is many of these types of what's called degenerative diseases, you get junk accumulating in your organs like these proteins, can be treated with some of the same pathways, targeting some of the same concepts. So using an antibody, using your immune system to clear some of this junk is really a brilliant way forward, and we've applied it in many different diseases.
Can I ask my dumb question too?
Yeah, no, that was a good question.
That was a good
because
question.
it's far beyond just Alzheimer's. Go ahead, now your other question.
Where do they come up with these names? Leqembi with a Q in it. Like, is there a reason that it ended up named
So
that
the
way?
brand names, the generic names, so it ends in a MAB, which is a monoclonal antibody. So you know that that's a generic name, that's a scientific name, but the brand names are actually done through focus groups. People such as yourself.
So people get paid money to name something Leqembi?
That's right.
I should do that for a living.
I know, I would not choose
But
that
it rolls
name,
off the tongue, doesn't it?
No, not really. So what do medical professionals think about this clinical trial? I mean, how it's done? I know that you guys study that, like how many people, how long, all that.
So here's the equipoise, here's the concern. Some scientists and physicians are saying you're slowing cognitive decline by 27%. So you're not curing the disease, you're not making it go away, you're just decreasing the rate of deterioration. It costs almost $27,000 a year, and it has these potentially significant side effects. So is this really progress? My take on it is actually the opposite. Alzheimer's is a disease where we have nothing.
Yes.
So this, to me, is a huge leap forward, a step in the right direction. We need to identify the right patients that are likely to benefit from this, and we need to follow this long term because that 27% could turn into something bigger if we keep it over a longer period.
Is your sense then that with the FDA approval that to some extent this becomes a form of testing, if you will? I mean, live human testing, trying to find the pathway?
It really is. And for a disease like Alzheimer's, that has been our biggest sort of battle, because obviously you want something to be well tested before you get it out to market. But at the same time, for a disease that has nothing, should we start to get people access to this as we're collecting data? And I think the most important thing moving forward is going to be these what's called OLE, open label extension studies, where real world people's data is being collected so that we know that it continues to be safe.
And we know Medicare and Medicaid is going to cover this when you talk about the cost, and there's that risk of brain bleeds and things, but like the guy that was profiled by NBC, he's 56. It's buying some time, at least, for some memories, right?
It is, absolutely. We do have to be careful about those brain bleeds because they're significant. They could be life-threatening.
Sure.
Okay. So the first principle should be do no harm. So the FDA has put a black box warning on this for people who are on blood thinners, who probably shouldn't be taking this, for people who have genetic predisposition from ApoE4, which is a gene that you carry. If you have 2 bad copies of it, it makes you have Alzheimer's, but it also increases your risk of complications for brain bleeds from this. So I think we have to cherry pick who we give it in. But when it comes to coverage, it really kills me as a physician because we have these great scientific breakthroughs and then the drug companies and the insurance companies drive up the costs. So imagine having a family member who has Alzheimer's and you can't get them this medication.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that because I imagine anyone who is touched by Alzheimer's is going to want to give it to me.
Yeah.
What is it? We'll try it. Because right now, as you said, my option is to continue to go down the path of Alzheimer's or try this, and I'll try anything at this point.
Well, we can't give it to everyone. So we can't give it in advanced Alzheimer's. It has to be early in the course of the disease because it hasn't been studied in advance. Now, it could still have benefit, but we need data on this. And we can't give it to people who are high risk of bleeding, as I discussed. And if the insurance company says, I'll give it to you, but it's $27,000 a year or $10,000 a year, that may be cost prohibitive for some people. So I think there are a lot of important ethical issues that come up here with a condition that causes dementia. Should Should we have such a high price tag for a treatment? And is it even ethical to do that?
It makes it very much a social study as well as to who can afford to be treated and who can't. Well, it's a bit of progress. We'll certainly will follow it. We appreciate your insight as always, Dr. Paul Coley.